Hi guys. Okay, so I wanted to give you the answers to everything in the review sheet. Some of my classes, I went over some of the answers. Some of my classes I didn't get a chance to meet because I had a meeting. So I am going to show you the answers to the questions. If you want, pause the video so you can just check your work. If you got it right, awesome. Then you don't have to watch the video. But if you want the answers explained, I'm going to then explain the answers. So here's page one of it. You could just pause the video to check your work. And then here is the other questions. Okay, and now I'm just going to walk you through how I got those answers. So, again, if you needed the answers, you could have just paused it. So, question number one on the review sheet says a sine graph has a max value of 14 and a minimum of 3. Write the equation of the midline. I can't stress this enough, and some of you need to go back and look at your test. You didn't write it as an equation, so please make sure you're doing that. Max is 14, min is 3. So 14 plus 3, I'm going to try to use my soothing voice for my 1A class. Divided by 2 is 17 over 2. So y equals, and that's going to be 8.5. Now, if that's the middle and the highest is 14, just subtract 14 from 8.5, and that's why you have an amp of 5.5, right? If that's the middle, you have to go up to 14. Here's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay. Number 2 gives you the equation of y equals 2 cosine. You know what? I think I might have the answers wrong on this. I might not have read the 3. I don't know if that 3 is outside. I didn't realize that. X plus 3 pi plus 2. Let me go back what I write for the period. Yeah, the period's wrong on my answer sheet, so just correct it now. So it says to state the amp. So the amp is 2. It says state the period. I didn't see the 3 on my original when I was doing the answer case, so I just said there was a 1 there. But now I see that there's a 3 there, so the period is 2 pi over 3. Phase shift. The phase shift is, we're just going to take this, x plus 3 pi, set it equal to 0. So x equals negative 3 pi. So that's the phase shift. And the vertical shift is this. So the vertical shift is just up 2. So plus 2. So just make sure you correct that on the original. Number 3. Use the graph to answer the following questions. Okay, so I'm going to put the graph back here. All right. So it says state the amplitude. Okay, I hope you guys can see that this got shifted up. So we need to find the middle, okay, before I could tell you the amplitude. So the highest value here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, is 8. The lowest value here is 2. If I take that and divide it by 2, that means the middle is 5. Okay, so I have the amplitude, the middle is 5. So if I wanted to write the equation, I now know D is 5. My amplitude, which is your A, goes from 5 to 8. So my A is 3. Okay, state the period, guys. The period is when you complete one graph. So I start here, and it seems to be a cosine graph. It's a negative cosine, and it stops here at pi. So my period is pi, which means 2 pi divided by the period gives me my b. So my b is 2. Okay, and I'm finding all this out because my next thing is asking to write the sine and write the cosine function. All right, so you see that without a shift, it's a negative cosine. So I just want to get another piece so you can see. It's y equals negative, because it starts on the bottom, 3 cosine of 2x. And then we shifted it up, plus 5. And now we want a sine, so I'm shifting it over to here. When I start here, guys, look, there's a sine graph. Just look to where I shifted it to. I shifted it to pi over 4. y equals, now this is not a negative because this is a positive sine graph. 3 sine, your b stays the same, don't change that. X, I shifted it to the right, so that's negative pi over 4 plus 5. That didn't change. Your A, B, and D is not going to change. Your C is going to change as you shift it. That's moving it to the left. Okay, we went over the questions number 4 in class, but I'll do it again. All right, A, the sine, inverse sine of 0. So what angle gives me a sine of 0? And that is 0. Okay, remember, we're looking for sine in quadrant 1 and quadrant 4. If this is 1, if it's positive, it's in quadrant 1. If it's negative, it's in quadrant 4. B is asking you for the inverse cosine of radical 2 over 2. Please, guys, don't ever get this wrong. This is going to be, again, quadrant 1 is just pi over 4. Okay? Cosine is positive here, negative here. Letter C, okay, I changed because you can't find the tangent of pi over 4. That was just a misprint. So I changed it to the cosine to the inverse tan of, and I put 1. So who gives me a tangent of 1? That's pi over 4. And now I want the cosine of pi over 4, which is radical 2 over 2. Letter D is asking me arc cosine of radical 3 over 2. So I want to know what angle has a cosine of radical 3 over 2. It's my favorite. It is pi over 6. Okay, don't know why that's my favorite angle, but I can't explain half the things I say. Tangent inverse of radical 3. Okay, so what angle has a tangent of radical 3? That's pi over 3. Okay, and finally, letter F, which was the new one we did. I'll put it over here. The cosine of the angle whose tangent is 5 over 12. Remember, I really don't need to find the angle. With everything else, I found the angle. I really don't need it. I need to find the cosine of that angle. So I'll just build my triangle. It's positive, so I'm hanging out in quadrant 1. Tangent is described, the tangent of this is 5, that's opposite, over adjacent. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, in our mathematical career, 5, 12, 13, or do the Pythagorean theorem, okay? But you really shouldn't need to. So now I found that what theta is this. I don't know the actual value, but I know that's theta. So I just need the cosine of it. Cosine is defined as adjacent over hypotenuse. So the answer is 12 over 13. That's how I got that answer. Okay. Question number 5. Okay, it's almost similar to something like this. It's saying given that sine is 3 over 5 and you're in quadrant 2. So remember, if you're in quadrant 2, another stupid trig class. Sine is positive, no one else is. So it tells me the sine is 3 over 5. Again, this is out 3, 4, 5. And it's asking me to find the cosine. The cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, but it's negative because I'm in quadrant 2. Okay. Excuse me. Number 6 is to rewrite the sine graph. Let's move this, sorry. Is to rewrite the sine graph y equals 3 sine of 2x plus 4 as a cosine graph. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to shift it over 1/4 of the period. 1/4 of the period. So I need to know what the period is. Well, the period is 2 pi divided by b. Uh-oh, my pen's dying. So the period is 4. So now I just have to move it over 1/4 to the right. So y equals, this is going to stay the same. Cosine 2 is going to stay the same. And it's going to be x. I'm going to shift it over 1/4 of that. Pi over 4 plus 4. But I just want to show you something. And actually, I don't know if I caught this on my answer key. All right. If I have a sine graph And it starts here. Well, it actually had a midline of 4. So it was like this. Always make sure I shifted it here. It's still a positive cosine. Okay, so you have to be careful. Make sure that it's a positive cosine. Okay, that was number 6. And 7, write a cosine function having an amplitude of 2/3. Y equals 2/3. This is number 7. Period of, it's a cosine. Period is pi over 3. Okay, so I have to find my b again. 2 pi divided by the period equals b. Guys, please know how to do this math. It's 2 pi divided by pi over 3, which means 2 pi times 3 over pi. This cancels out, so this is going to be 6. Okay, it was a phase shift, so let's put parentheses x. It's negative pi over 3, so let's do positive pi over 3, because remember we're going opposite. And vertical shift of 2, it's plus 2. Sorry, I'm going to get another pen. Okay, so just remember when we shift it over, it's going to be the opposite sign, because we know that if it's positive, it moves to the right. Okay, number 8 is our Ferris wheel. And I don't know where I got this problem from, because very sadistic, everybody's legs got cut off. So a Ferris wheel has a diameter of 50. All right, and it completes 1 rotation every 60 seconds. And we start at the bottom, which is very weird. Maybe it's a Ferris wheel that you like has a little cab in it and our legs aren't hanging and it walks around. We'll go with that. Otherwise it's scraping on the floor. All right, so what's the highest? The max is 50. The minimum is 0, making our D 50 plus 0 divided by 2, I can't believe I actually wrote that out, equals 25. So 25 is our D, which if the middle is 25 and the highest is 50, that means our A is also 25. So remember guys, it's 9 times out of 10 it's going to be a cosine graph, because you're starting at the bottom, you're going to go around and come back down. We come back down 60 seconds later. Okay, the middle of it was 25. This is a cosine. It's an inverted cosine. So it's going to be y equals, actually let's do it as a measure of time. So h of t equals, it is negative, it's inverted. My a was 25. Cosine, we still have to find our b. It's 2 pi divided by 60, that's the period. So it's going to be pi over 30. So pi over 30t plus my d is 25. Okay, number 9 asks to graph a cosecant graph. So y equals the cosecant of 3, cosecant of 2x plus pi. Well, we're not going to graph a cosecant, we're going to graph a sine, and then we're going to flip it out. So we're going to do what we've been doing, amplitude, 3, period, 2 pi over 2, so it's pi. 1/4 of the period is pi over 4. Again, guys, this is how we move from piece to piece, is pi over 4. Our starting point is going to be 2x plus pi equals 0. 2x equals negative pi. X equals negative pi over 2. Since my denominators are different, I'm going to make this negative 2 pi over 4. So I'm going to start at negative 2 pi over 4. I move a quarter, so then I'm going to move to negative pi over 4. Here I hit 0, which is my y. Then I'm going to hit pi over 4, and then 2 pi over 4. All right, my amplitude is 3. Now remember, I'm drawing a sine graph, but not really. I'm just using it as a template. And here I hit the 0. Remember in class I showed you the one that tested you didn't hit the 0, and a lot of people had to shift their graph over. And here it is. Now, before I even draw the cosecant, I'm going to put in the other points. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3 pi over 4, I don't know where I 2 there. 4 pi over 4, 5 pi over 4, 6 pi over 4. I'm going to continue the pattern. Now, because it's inverted, okay, anytime the graph crosses 0 for sine, it's going to be undefined in cosecant. So I'm going to build asymptotes. And then I'm going to take this curve and invert it because it's the reciprocal. I'm going to take this curve and invert it. It's the reciprocal. Reciprocal. And there we go. All right, I am not going to ask you the domain and range of a cosecant graph. I just don't have the strength. So let's skip down to number 11, which is y equals 2 tan of 4x minus pi over 2. Very similar, except that your period changes. We have what's called a fake amp of 2. The period now is pi over b. So it's pi over b is 4. And then 1/4 that period is pi over 16. This is how we move. Where am I starting? Starting point. 4x minus pi over 2 equals 0. 4x equals pi over 2. X equals divide by 4, multiply by 1/4, pi over 8. This is 16, so I'll change this to 2 pi over 16. So this is where I'm starting at 2 pi over 16, and I'm moving 1/16. So then 3 pi over 16, 4 pi over 16, 5 pi over 16, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pi over 16. All right, my fake amp is 2. Remember, tangent is the one that has the asymptote in the middle, so it starts midline. Fake amp, asymptote. Negative, back to the midline. This is what one complete cycle looks like. I always want you, sorry, I didn't realize I should off camera there. I always want you to graph 2. So let's add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can add the numbers in. And again, midline, fake amp, asymptote, negative, midline. And there we go. There's 2 complete curves. Whenever you do 2 complete curves of a tangent, you're going to see a complete curve that's joined together. Okay, guys, hopefully you studied. All right, look over your old tests also, because I said it was going to keep in some things from your old tests. Also, guys, I'm telling you, I might put problems on there like asking you for the sine of 315-degree angle. Remember, you have to look at that and say, well, the reference is 45, so the sine of 315 would be the same as the sine of 45, which is radical 2 over 2. That's the value. Now I need to know, is it positive or negative? Well, 315 degrees terminates in quadrant 4. Another stupid trig class. It's negative here, so it would be negative. All right. Have a good night, guys.